Hey there, so in another personnel move of someone that said they won't be back in comic books, here's Heather Antos rejoining comics. That's right, after a brief foray into internet gambling, going from Marvel to Unicorn to now Valiant, we see a return to comics. Now, I would love to know what happened with the dream job at Unicorn. Also, I would like to know why they didn't call that company Unicron, just to say, because when I look at that, I want to say Unicron, and if they did, that would have kicked it up by at least 100% as far as awesome points go, but I digress on that. I would like to know exactly how that played out, exactly how that was ever seen to play out, because I couldn't actually see a career made manifest within that kind of situation. I don't mean that to be ugly either. When I'm talking about this, I'm talking about a move within comic books. I do wonder, though, would you be impacted on a would I buy or wouldn't I buy by someone in editorial? I'm always curious about these positions, about these personnel moves, and especially when it comes to someone that controversy has been around. You know, if you're a supporter of that person, would you be more likely to buy comic books because this person is on them? Or on the other side of that, would you be less likely because of things that they've thrown out into the ether? Now, as far as Valiant goes, which is the company we're talking about here, they have actually reported some pretty good numbers lately. If you look at the units and dollars here, if you look at Bloodshot Rising Spirit #1, you notice the asterisk beside it. The asterisk, it talks about it being returnable. That means that the estimated units here is actually down 10%. So you're talking about something that not only came in at units for 55 and dollars for 54, but again with returnability, there may actually be variation with the estimated units. Now when you get into the other ones, I mean, you see almost 7,600 units moving for XO Man of War, which is good there. Shadow Man, 55, almost 5,600. Ninja K at around 5,500, Faith Dreamside at around 4,000, and Quantum and Woody at around 4,000. So again, these are actually pretty good numbers when you consider Valiant Standing within the industry. I mean, if you look at where they are in overall dollars, I mean, if we're considering that, if you go in and look at the standings here, you're talking about someone that has about 0.9% of the overall dollars. And when you're talking about the overall units within this, you're talking about a company that gets very close to around 1%. So Valiant, they have actually done pretty well for themselves here. Now, as far as Valiant goes, I feel that we need to discuss DMG Entertainment to truly understand exactly what motivates Valiant these days, exactly where they're trying to go, and to really understand what types of moves they're trying to make. I personally think a lot of the moves that we're going to see, I think that these are going out to try to expand audience for other platforms. Not talking about comic books. And again, that is not a pro or con comment about the people being hired. It's actually a comment about DMG Entertainment and how they want to move forward. So DMG Entertainment, if you look back to about a year ago, you'll find articles talking about DMG and CEO and founder Dan Mitz going from a 57% stake in Valiant to whole ownership. Now, when they discuss the why behind it, they sound like every other company out there that's talking about comics. And really, I would love to see a company that could do all of it right. But these days, most of them want to focus on one side to the detriment of the other. But here he talks about, this is about taking it to the next level. I'm not looking on expanding from a publishing standpoint, but from a motion picture standpoint. So he wants to expand his platform, but he wants to expand that into motion pictures. That makes sense too. I mean, when you look at risk versus reward these days, yeah, the real reward is in intellectual property. And Valiant, well, as they say here, they have a quote robust library of 2,000 characters. And if you look at the books that they have name recognition. Now the thing is, how do you get more people to recognize these names? How do you add more to it? Well, personnel moves, which we'll discuss in a minute. And DMG, I think that they understand the game as far as the big screen goes. In fact, I would recommend that you go out and you look up articles on, say, Iron Man 3. They had some interesting problems as far as Iron Man 3 went, but when you look at what they were adding to give this universal appeal, I think that they understood some stuff there too. Look at Looper and On, again, not without their problems, but also they understood the market. Why do I bring that up again? Because when you hire certain people and then they make statements right from go talking about Bloodshot in theaters February 2020, it makes you wonder, is this about adding a megaphone and saying, hey, I represent this commodity, get in here, let me talk about that, trying to basically curry favor with an audience that you may not have had before? Or again, is it simply editorial? You can ask that. I think that smart companies, they go out and they try to make bigger moves. And again, sometimes those moves are good. Sometimes those moves blow up in your face. It just depends on the person. But if you look at this comment here, Antos says, there's no bigger time than right now to join Valiant. The creative teams, characters, and stories have never looked stronger, and I'm excited to collaborate with editorial on even greater stories as we build toward the release of Bloodshot in theaters February 2020. So you can see right off the bat, plugging movies. Again, that is the DMG model. They're wanting to go out. They're wanting to make something bigger. That's where they're going toward. Now, the first thing apparently that Antos will be working on, she's going to be working with the Wilds writer and DC talent development workshop alum, also blockbotter, just like Heather Antos. Yeah, I would encourage you to, if you've never looked up the Wilds, I would encourage you to go beyond reviews and actually pick up something that will at least allow you to look at that book. And you tell me about that, because when I looked at it, I thought it was one of the worst books that I've ever looked at. Now, in addition to that, the article, it also has an interview. I do not want to touch on all of that. I want to talk about a few portions. I'll link it in the description. You can go over it. But I think that certain parts of it are actually kind of entertaining because of the flip-flop nature that you're going to see. I understand why this comes across too. I just find a certain comedy in it because Antos at one time talked about how, hey, I love internet gambling. Hey, I love video games. And now it's, I'm really about the human connection we get through storytelling, especially through comics, which is why I'm here today. I suppose. I like that. Really dedicated to it, I suppose. And again, I get loving the current industry you're in and really wanting to hype it because that industry, it keeps the lights on. It keeps the refrigerator from being empty. I do get that. I just found a certain humor back when, especially when trying to hype that same standard when it came to internet gambling, because it didn't look quite so good when you went through there. There was another thing about stress management. This is kind of what I want to end on with it, but it kind of stuck with me and it resonated because here you have someone saying that this stuff, it's just comics. It's not brain surgery. That's not a job that means life or death. So when you get stressed out, remember, it's supposed to be fun. Don't panic. It's just comics. Now, sometimes on one level, I wish people would approach things that way. I wish they would approach the whole setup where it's just fun. No political messages hidden, nothing else. That's what comics are supposed to be. They're just fun. But there's the other side of that too. There's a serious portion, and it's not about what you return to consumers. It's about whether consumers, they return to you. I mean, because again, we were talking about keeping the lights on, keeping the refrigerator full. Well, certain people out there, they've drawn lines within the sand. They've said, yeah, this kind of stuff, it's not brain surgery, but me, I am as important in life as a brain surgeon. I'm a rock star. You need me in your life. And the reality is people don't. So again, when we're talking about personnel moves like this, pro or con, impact, what kind of impact does this kind of thing have? Anyhow, you tell me what you think about all of this, and you tell me what you think about a Valiant bigger plan. I mean, is this the way that they're looking at it? Are they looking at this as more than talent? Are they trying to add on people that will work as a megaphone? And does this kind of stuff, again, does it succeed, pro or con? Let me know what you think. Also, if you like this kind of content, please consider supporting. Please consider liking, hitting that bell, doing backflips, whatever really strikes you after that. Also, if you want to support beyond that, there are links within the description. Check those out. I would definitely appreciate that. But leave comments, return for new material, and as always, I appreciate you popping in. Thank you.